Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. It is week 2. We have, stop us if you've heard this before, a bajillion games to discuss because the ACC is now coast to coast. But this is my favorite game that we play this time of year. Where in the world is Eric McLean?
Well, it sounds like the police are after me right now. I don't know if you guys can hear the sirens or not. I am in New York City.
Which could mean you're just in Columbia.
Yeah, right. You know, could be. No one knows. No one knows. I'm in Columbia. I'm in New York, going to this event. This would have already happened. You guys will see it all over my Instagram with a company called Breitling, a watch company that I'm very excited about. They are dropping a brand new line, a lot of NFL crossover. I assume I get to see my man Trevor Lawrence. I assume he's going to be here. So you guys will see that on social media, I'm sure, if that does or doesn't happen. But yeah, kind of random, KG. I feel, kind of cool to be here. And I love New York City. Anytime I get to come up here for free, it's a great time. It's a great time.
Don't be humble. You're big time, man. You're getting the invites to go to these,
I guess this is what it feels like.
Big events in the meatpacking district. Come on, man.
I'm really excited to be here. And yeah, by the time you guys are watching this, I will probably be landing at GSP, headed to Clemson, because we're in Tiger Town this weekend. So that's why I'm wearing the shirt. You know, it's funny. I was logging on, KG. I'm like, all I have is Clemson stuff because that's where we're going. So sorry as we talk about all these other games. But, my heart is with every game that we talk about this weekend.
Of course. And we will talk. Clemson app is not in our big 3. But we are going to talk about it outside of our big 3 because I think it's very interesting to see what we'll see. And I think when you look at some of these bigger programs in the ACC playing group of 5s, obviously App is a very well-respected group of 5. So we'll get to that. But Mac, when you go to Clemson, where else are you going to go besides Death Valley?
Great question. My favorite place in the world, Ingles. Can't wait. But anyway, that's literally where we shopped for 5 years. And so for us to kind of come full circle here, and I get to go back every time I'm in Clemson to get our tailgating food. We're for sure going to do some burgers on the grill this weekend. Very excited. So I will be going there. So really quick, let's get to a message from our friends over at Ingles, and let's get to the episode because we have a billion games, KG, as you mentioned.
It's time to discover the convenience and time savings of contact-free pickup with Ingles Curbside. Just visit shop.ingles-markets.com or download the app. And your Ingles personal shopper gets to work with specialized training on how to select the freshest items for a pre-scheduled pickup. They'll even text you with updates. You pull up to a designated space and your personal shopper delivers your items right to your vehicle. Fresh, fast, and affordable. It's all in the bag. Ingles. Low prices. Love the savings.
Mac, it's time to get into our big 3 breakdown for week 2. And of course, we're going to start with number 14, Tennessee versus number 24, NC State in Charlotte in the Duke's Mayo Kickoff Classic, I believe is what it's called. And as of now, Mac, NC State is a 9-point dog to Tennessee as we're talking about this on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. on ABC. The game is Saturday night prime time. There are some other big games this weekend. We know Michigan, Texas, of course, is a big one. I think this game might be the most intriguing. I'm not sure if Michigan, Texas is going to be that close, honestly, but I think this game will.
Really?
No, I really don't think so. I think Michigan, we talk about, we're going to give NC State all this flack for looking bad in their first game. Like Michigan did not look good, but it seems we don't really care. I think people have been a little hard on NC State for that week 1 game. With a lot of new pieces on defense, new quarterback, new running back. I thought they really pulled it together at the end. I thought it was kind of a comedy of errors. And yeah, if you do that against Tennessee, you're going to lose. But I think that NC State is going to learn from that, and they're not going to look like they did week 1. Yeah. So let's get into this game, Matt. Give me your initial thoughts.
Well, I love all that. And first of all, it's fascinating to look at this line and see how it's changed. I actually just clicked on it again, KG. It's up to 10. It's up to double digits. So this game is moving in favor of Tennessee, and I think they opened it maybe 7 or 6.5 somewhere. It's all the way up at 10 now. So very fascinating. But if you look at it even closer and you just look at kind of the game matchup, the stats are like mirror image. When you look at quarterbacks, what they did in game 1, how many passing yards, how many touchdowns, running backs, same thing, like identical stats there. And then receivers, you have a more dynamic single guy in KC Concepcion. So it is really interesting, especially kind of to me right now, why I've kind of felt the way I have about this. I'm like, oh, Tennessee's about to blow these dudes out, but maybe not. Maybe not, because they really, have looked very similar. And I think the other interesting piece is you've got a guy in Grayson who all the experience in the world has played in these massive games, has done all these great things. Yet I think he was nervous. I think he really was in a new place, in a new system, all this stuff. And so now how much settled in can he be? How much settled in can he, really become? So I'm really interested just to see that and just to see, and he's in his hometown, grew up in Charlotte. How much more dialed and accurate can he be? Because I think that's a really, really big deal. Obviously, I was disappointed with the rush attack early, but it found its way. And, now we will see. I don't think that you can do what you did in 3 quarters and be anywhere close to Tennessee. You got to channel that fourth quarter, where we saw them really start to rush the ball, get over 200 yards, and Jordan Waters unleash. I mean, we knew it was a matter of time. So you can't start slow there. And then, my biggest key of the game, KG, is however you can get the ball to 10, get the ball to 10.
Yeah.
That's just still. And now there'll be other guys that step up. I think Joe Lee was fantastic. Will be fun to see him play, kind of big boy football this week. Same thing with Noah Rogers. Need him to be in more. Kind of like the Clemson situation, which we'll talk about in a minute. Play him more. Get him on the field. Other guys have had their chance. Sorry, this guy's ready. He's ready now, and he needs to be playing. So that's kind of my big thing. But KC is going to get the ball early, often, and frequently. If I'm NC State.
He's got to. I'm really not too worried about the NC State offense. I think they showed, I think they were very vanilla against Western. They obviously thought that the game would be out of hand quicker, but they had just some things that didn't go right that I think you can fix. The running game obviously is a bit of a concern. You're going to have to run it against Tennessee, and we know that's been our knock and everyone's knock on NC State for the past couple of years. You've got to be able to run it. What worries me, Mac, and you mentioned Nico, the Tennessee quarterback, and Grayson McCall's numbers being similar. Nico only played the first half. That's kind of the difference here. And I think what really worries me.
Slight difference.
Yeah. They had us in the first half, not going to lie. What really worries me is the NC State defense. Yeah. It worries me, Mac. And I know Tony Gibson, we both have the utmost faith in him. But they let Western do whatever they wanted, at least for the first 3 quarters. That's going to be a bit of a concern. And when you have this Tennessee offense, this is what Josh Heupel's known for. And Nico seems to be the perfect fit for this Josh Heupel offense at Tennessee. This defense, I think the not having Peyton Wilson was such a glaring issue for them. And they also lost some other vets that were really important for NC State. The defense is the unit that bothers me, that worries me. Yeah, I think you've got to force some turnovers. You've got to hold up on defense, Mac. Am I off on that?
No, you're 100% right. And I think another thing to, throw out on top of all those people that you lost is you also lost Cade Fordham in the first series because of the target penalty, who's your, helmet communication guy, the obvious guy that we thought was going to step up and be the next man up there, and he was gone. And so, on top of not having Jahai Carter at safety, didn't play game 1, who's electric, was a former All-American. He's going to be back. Cade will be back. Now you lose Boykin, your other starting safety, so you kind of switch, which is highly unfortunate. But you've got to be ready, because if people remember when Tennessee played Clemson specifically, I know people have watched all throughout. They will spread the field. They will literally have their receivers line up near the out of bounds, on top of the numbers near the outward, kind of hash marks there, tick marks, to really use every ounce of it. So they put you in really adverse situations. Now, obviously, that equates to longer passes, the ball being in the air longer, but it's more ground to cover. So they're trying to find matchups one-on-one all throughout. I think Aiden White's going to have to step up immensely and have a massive game. We did see a lot of guys kind of running free against Western that first game. So how can you tune that up? What can you really do? And KG, it's a really interesting thing, because obviously if you go man, you're putting your guys on islands. If they miss, look out. But if you go zone, there's a lot of holes. The holes are now spread out farther. There's different windows. You can't get the same type of pressure. It's going to be fascinating to see the chess match between Coach Heupel and Coach Gibson, which is going to be fantastic. I cannot wait to see it. But I just have to think, if I'm Tony Gibson and what am I trying to do? I'm going to try to heat up Nico as quickly as I can.
You have to.
Pressures. I'm trying to change his timing. I'm going press on the outside, trying to throw off whatever I can to help somebody get home to either hit him or make him move. And it's going to be fun to see what they end up doing.
You have to make him uncomfortable, Mac. And I felt like they didn't really get home against Western.
Correct.
So it worries me that you're going to be able to get home against Nico. But if you let him sit back there and just dial things up, it's going to be rough. And of course, we know that Western also ran the ball pretty well in NC State. So the defense just worries me. I'm sounding pretty negative, but I don't
just
think
take the defensive effort, game plan from last week, throw it away. Just throw it away.
Yes.
We're brand new. Let's get going.
Literally, though, Mac. Okay, let me give you a few numbers here to know from intern Nick's notes, which are awesome. The Vols, the Tennessee Vols, are 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 games as a favorite. That's very interesting right there. And then on the flip side, NC State is 0-4-1, so they had one push against the spread in their last 5 games in September. If there is kind of one knock on NC State as of late, it's that they've started slow, right? Yep. They've started slow in September. They've played well in November. So if that trend holds up, then, it could be a rough night for NC State. Mac, because of the defense, because of Nico and his abilities, I'm going to take Tennessee to cover here. I think it's closer early. I don't think this is just a blowout right away, but eventually I think this defense is not going to be able to slow down Tennessee. I hate to say this. I feel like I said in the beginning, I don't think we should put as much stock in Western, but there were still some things that were concerning that we saw.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you, and it's just a prove it thing. You just got to show me that it's different, because I had really high hopes and was fascinated to see this game kind of coming in. And it's funny. I wish we would have done this 3 days ago. I could have got an even better number. But I think at the end of the day, Tennessee does cover. I think that they are playing at a really high level. I think Nico might end up being the number 1 overall pick whenever he comes out. I mean, that guy is really electric. And as you said, kind of at the beginning, this offense is kind of perfect for a guy like that. So it's going to be interesting to see the game plan. I've thought this preseason, very talented team. You just got to put it together. And they didn't quite in game 1 to make me feel good enough. So it's a bit of a prove it tour right now for NC State. So I'm right there with you. I'm going with the Vols.
But you're exactly right, Mac. Like, we've seen a lot of times teams look in week 1, and then week 2 they figure it out. But we're just going off of what we've seen from NC State and from Tennessee, and kind of have those questions been answered. Not as much for NC State. I would love to see NC State prove us wrong. And this would be just such a massive statement in so many ways. All right, Mac, let's get on to a sneaky, very sneaky good game this weekend between Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Georgia Tech is traveling up to the Dome to play Syracuse. Georgia Tech, last I looked, you can check me on this, Mac, is a 3-point favorite. So a road favorite in ACC play, noon on ACC Network. These two schools have only met 5 times ever, which is kind of wild to me, but they weren't in the same division back in the day when we had divisions in the ACC, and Georgia Tech has won 4 of those 5 matchups. Overall, Mac, I think Georgia Tech has looked better than any of us thought, and I think Syracuse, they won, and the offense looked good. The defense left some to be desired. They gave up quite a few rushing yards to Ohio, and Georgia Tech is the team that really likes to run the football. So my first initial look at this is I lean Georgia Tech, but where do you lean on this game?
Yeah, quite a few being 250 yards.
Yeah, I was trying to be, diplomatic.
There ain't no diplomacy here. I mean, that is crazy when you see that. I couldn't believe my eyes just to see how many, rushing yards they were able to pile up. And so if I'm Coach Key in this offensive line and this running attack, I'm licking my freaking chops. Are you kidding me? Like, let's go. This is perfect for us in the type of game that we want to have. who we want to be, what we want to do. Ranked Georgia Tech ranked. Let's go Jackets. Unbelievable. A lot of stock kind of being put in those guys.
Yeah, I shorted them on that. My apologies, Yellow Jacket fans.
Get them in there.
What the heck? My bad.
So I think they're going to want to continue to make a statement, and continue to show out and, really like this team's competitive nature, love their grit. And I think that they're going to be obviously another massive challenge for Syracuse on defense. Haynes King continue to do his thing. Ownership of the offense looks great. Looks like what you expect, from a guy that has played as much football and done as much as he has, especially going into his second year as the guy. So don't have any questions or concerns what I think we're going to see offensively from those guys. How does Syracuse bounce back? I mean, it's game one for them too. New system, new players, new staff. They're trying to figure that out, but it's a little telling when it's rushing yards. That's just getting bullied, getting pushed around by a significantly, less competitive opponent, you would think. So we'll see there. Now, offensively for Cuse, Kyle McCord lit it up. I mean, it's a little slow start, but he looked fantastic. Georgia Tech has not seen anything like that, this year in regards to the passing attack that they're going to from Syracuse. I probably would say their, corners were a big question mark coming in here. I know they're pretty excited about their, safeties, especially in run support, and probably corners in run support too, but they're going to be tested, in this game. And so it will be fascinating to see how do they respond. It'll be a new aspect of the game we have not seen from them this year. And just how can Syracuse continue to build? Because I love what they have going on. I think Kyle looked exactly like I thought he would, kind of in that first game. And as he continues to get comfortable. So this one is going to be really interesting. It is at 3, like you said, at an away site for Georgia Tech, which, as you know, home field advantage is about 3 points. That's really about a 6-point game there. It's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to see this one.
I really think it's one of the more interesting games of the whole weekend. Not just ACC play. If you really know what you're gonna see here, I would lean the over, Mac. The total's at 61.5. I think both teams probably score in the 30s. I think it could be that kind of game.
I love it.
We haven't seen. Obviously, Florida State Georgia Tech was a little slower and not as much scoring, but I think both teams are going to be able to score. The biggest question, as we've talked about, is can Syracuse slow down Georgia Tech's running attack? At least slow it down. I don't think you're going to actually be able to stop it. And then I think probably, especially to get momentum and to slow down this offense, you're going to have to force a turnover or two if you're Syracuse, which they totally can. And I expect, remember when we talked with Brent Axe in the offseason, I expect the Dome to be pretty packed. I think this is going to be a really good atmosphere for Syracuse. Can they give those fans something to cheer about early, keep those fans in the game, use those fans to their advantage? I think that's going to be a big difference maker.
Yeah, it really will be interesting. I think, when you look at keys of the game, obviously it stopped the run for Syracuse. How are you going to do it? And I think you try to sell out doing it too, quite frankly. Is that loading up the box? Is that doing different stunts with your D-line, whatever you can do. But just know if you kind of miss, see you later. Those boys are going to be off, to the races. That offensive line is going to do a good job of washing you down. And then, for Georgia Tech, just containing Kyle. What are you going to throw at him? Again, a guy that's played a lot of ball, been around, was very successful at Ohio State. What are you going to present to him to try to throw off some timing? Obviously, you need to know where Rondé Gatson is at all times. He's a guy that is going to be targeted, is going to be, gone to a bunch. How can you try to not eliminate that, but slow it down? Because I think he's too good, if you truly want to sit here and say you can take it away.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pena is an X factor too for Syracuse.
Yeah.
He was great. And of course, Georgia Tech has some really good Singleton, Rutherford, these guys that are emerging. I think there's going to be some great offense in this game. The big question to me is the running game. I want to share a couple of these notes. Georgia Tech is 6-1 when averaging 5 yards per rush since the 2022 season. Okay, so in recent memory. And then Syracuse is 3-11 when allowing 100 or more rushing yards since the 2022 season.
Wow.
Maybe it's that simple. And if Syracuse can hold Georgia Tech under 100 rushing yards or around that mark, they probably can win the game. And then vice versa. The other thing too, Mac, which I know this makes you proud just as an offensive lineman, Georgia Tech has not allowed a sack yet this season. So can Syracuse, and of course Haynes King, I think he's done a better job of scrambling, pocket presence, but also he's so mobile. So it's tough to take him down.
Hey! Don't take anything away from my
Sorry,
boys.
I mean all the credit to the O-line.
Don't do that.
All the
I'm
credit.
right there with you. I'm taking the Yellow Jackets. I think they continue their rolling here and stay ranked. It is going to be interesting to see what does their pass defense do, but I just think, man, giving up 250, it's telling, and it's going to be interesting to see how does Syracuse try to combat that.
Can we see adjustments though? We've praised Fran Brown. We really are excited to see what he can do at this program. Can he get this team to make that big of an improvement from week 1 to week 2? I don't know. It worries me. I'm gonna take Georgia Tech. But
go ahead, take Syracuse. Do it.
No, I believe in Georgia Tech. I'm gonna believe in Georgia Tech until proven otherwise. That's my plan right now.
There you go. I like that.
So let's go with the Yellow Jackets to cover the 3 there. But I think it's going to be a really fun game. All right, Mac. A new program to the ACC. We got to talk about this one. BYU at SMU. Brigham Young University at Southern Methodist University. This is Friday, 7 o'clock, ESPN2. Tonight on ESPN2. That's a great game for a Friday night. I feel like you're going to have a lot of viewers, a lot of the country's attention. Last I saw, SMU is an 11.5-point favorite. Totals at 56.5. That seems like a lot of points for an SMU team that went to Nevada, so BYU's home state. No, BYU's in Utah. Loser. Went to Nevada, struggled out there, did not cover. And then I don't know if we can learn anything from Houston Christian playing an FCS opponent. Absolutely you still have your 2-quarterback system, it seems, at SMU, which makes me worried. That just seems like a big number for SMU. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I do too. And again, it's if you just took away the Nevada game, which
exactly
appeared on the schedule randomly like 2 months ago.
Let's pretend it didn't happen. Should we just do that?
It didn't happen. SMU will cover. Because that's what I expected them to look like. In their last game, running the football effectively. Probably thought you get a little bit more out of Preston Stone, just availability and yardage, but they probably just said, "Come on, come sit over here. You're good. 2 touchdowns. Come take a seat." It is going to be interesting on that fact, KG. How long do you keep it up? Because I think right now you're at that point. Unless you're blowing people out, I don't necessarily want to go back and forth.
No.
As a lineman, as a fan,
sure,
been in these situations, and it's hard because the guys are very different. I mean, that's evident. Yeah. Now, here's the deal. If you have a package or if you have a couple of plays where that dude is too dynamic, he can't just be sitting there. We got to get him in the game. I get it. Totally do. But for it to be you get 2 series, then you get 2 series, and then we'll figure it out from there, I don't love that at all. So I am fascinated to see that. What does that look like? Continue to see the explosive nature of this SMU offense. Obviously, you've got a Power 4 opponent now, and we saw them struggle with, Nevada. So we will see. But I think they figured something out in that last game. I'm actually going to take SMU with the points.
Really?
I think they want to make a little bit of a statement here. And the self-inflicted stuff, right? Like, you get that out of your way, probably a totally different game against Nevada.
So much self-inflicted stuff early on against Nevada. You had a muff punt, like all this just craziness. And you're on the road week 0, I should say. I hear what you're saying, Mac. The 2-quarterback system, I'm so curious to see what they do in a game like this.
Right.
Because going into Nevada, you're a 27-point favorite. You probably think we're going to play 2 and we're going to just kind of get them that experience. Houston Christian, you're going to play 2. What do they do here? I'm super curious to see. And then I think BYU, this is we talk about the Tennessee NC State game being really big for the conference. You could argue this is a Big 12. I always forget, we all forget probably that BYU's in the Big 12 ACC battle, and 2 very new programs, used to be Group of 5 now, or BYU's independent, now in these conferences. So this game could go a long way both ways. And I think BYU, they played Southern Illinois in their first game. Their quarterback looked really good. It is what it is. But we also saw SMU play Nevada and didn't look very good. They did against Houston Christian. I think it's a little bit of, I need to see it. I'm going to take BYU to cover. I think SMU wins at home. They've been very good at home in the American, but very good at home. BYU is 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 games as double-digit underdogs. If that tells you anything, Eric McLean. And they've only played a couple times, but SMU has never beaten BYU. So that's just, if you care about numbers like that, keep that in mind. I'm going to take BYU to cover.
Okay.
Think/hope SMU wins.
Please.
We'll see.
I'm glad that
it's a sneaky good game, though.
First time all year we split on one game. That's great.
Good. It's time. It's about time, Eric McLean. Okay. So that's Friday night tonight. Super excited to watch that tonight. I think SMU, a win there, even a convincing win, prove me wrong, could go a long way for the conference, SMU, et cetera. Let's get into some of these other games, Mac. Let's run through them. We're going to give you a few more thoughts on Clemson, App, Virginia, Wake, and then kind of one thought on the rest of these games. App State is traveling to number 25, still ranked, Clemson. Eric McLean and the boys, the huddle, will be there Saturday, 8 Eastern on ACC Network. Last I saw, Clemson was a 16.5-point favorite.
Correct.
Mac, if it matters, Clemson has not started 0-2 since 1975, if you must know. This game, we'll see how good of a game it is. I think Clemson's going to win the game. Could maybe see a late cover by App at the end. We'll talk about it. But so much matters how you look. It's not really, and hey, maybe I'm sounding too cocky. Who knows? But it's more about how you look for Clemson, right? You've got to look confident. You've got to look explosive. You've got to get young guys involved. That's what we're all curious about, Mac.
Yeah. Give me your number one. I want you to start. Give me your number one thing you want to see this game. Is it a score? Is it whatever it is? Give me your number one thing that you're looking forward to.
All right. This is going to sound crazy because this has basically never happened. This is so sassy. Gosh, Kelly's so sassy. I want to see, and it might not happen just because of the style, but this is what I would want to see. I want to see a Clemson quarterback pass for 300 yards. When's the last time it happened?
I don't know. Feels like a long time.
I'd have to look up Clemson's
ACC
game
championship, maybe.
But it just feels like, that used to be the norm. Even when you play a team like this, because to pass for 300 yards, you have to hit a 60-yard bomb. You have to hit a 50-yard bomb. And more importantly, your receivers have to get yards after the catch.
Yeah.
That's what has to happen. You cannot just get air yards of 300 yards, very rarely. So call me crazy, Mac. Call me greedy. I want a Clemson quarterback to pass for 300 yards. What do you want to see, Mac?
Well, I love that. I want to see the young boys play. That's what I want. I want to see TJ.
Those would be related. Those would be related.
Very related. I want to see TJ Moore out there. I want to see Brian Wesco out there in like early, meaningful time. Not in the third quarter, not in the second quarter, like maybe very early. And so I think they deserve that. I want to see 0 and 6 get targeted a ton. I don't know. And again, you talk about the greedy. Yeah. I mean, great. I fully expect Clemson can run the ball. I don't have any doubt about it. Marion Hampton went for like 800 yards last year against these guys. I know that can happen. I don't care. I do not want to see that. I do not want to see that. I want to see the ball go through the air, just like you. And I think you need that. I think you have to have that. We talk about building confidence. We talk about, going throughout the rest of the year and doing your thing. I get winning, and I know, trust me, I've been in the locker room. I've been in the meetings. I know what is being said, and I believe it all. But there's just something to the style points part. There's something to showing everybody, including yourself, that you can do it and that you can air it out and be as explosive as you've been in the past. So that's what I really want to see. No silly errors of the big play penalties being taken back. When you do connect, seeing things like that, and then really just who is this Clemson team going to be? Because I think after you watch the tape against Georgia, it's not as bad as you probably initially thought. There's a lot of promise. There's some throws that were made that I was just like, don't know if I've seen those before. I like what I see. but it's just compounding it and it's building and it's continuing it all. So I am fascinated just to see what it looks like. And then defensively, I almost said shutout, which I do believe, but close to it. Like those guys, and I think can easily do it. It's just the offense has to do their part too. Like those guys have to pick it up and continue to help them out, not leaving them stranded. Where they have to be the key of the game. So a lot of stuff kind of packed in there. Can't wait to be home. Can't wait to be in Tiger Town, see it up close and personal. But those are kind of the two massive things that I really, really want to see, KG.
If you see Max, say hey. He'll be happy to see you.
Just on a suit, sweating.
Yeah, no, it's hard to miss Mac. Just for reference, the last of the times Cade Klubnik has passed for 300 yards. The UNC game, which is still probably his best game that he's ever had in a Clemson uniform, he passed for 279, but he was 20 of 24, which is wild. No picks.
Pretty good.
The 300-yard showings for him against Tennessee, he passed for 320, but he was 30 for 54.
Throw the ball 50 times?
54 times, and he had 2 picks. And then last year, 2 instances of 300 or more yards. Do you have a guess?
I don't even remember who he played. Tell me this. Was it in the back half of the season?
No, beginning and middle. One was a win, one was a loss.
NC State?
You know the people are guessing at home. No, not NC State. He passed for 263. Miami. The thing was, he was 18 of 34. Maybe I should have put completion percentage instead of passing yards. He was 18 of 34 for 314, 2 touchdowns and a pick against Miami. And then against Charleston Southern,
I was going to guess that.
28 of 37 for 315. Yeah. 4 touchdowns and a pick. But for example, against Florida Atlantic, maybe a somewhat, App State's better than them, obviously. He was 16 of 27 for 169. Like, you can't. If we see that, and to your point, Mac, I think a lot of this is confidence for yourself, right? And confidence for maybe the fan base. Who knows? Maybe they don't care about that, but
I think they do. Interesting. They really care about it.
And of course, you're playing at home.
But you're not doing anything for that. Hey, I never mentioned fans. You literally, I'm not joking. Like, Clemson needs to see Clemson can do it. That's a real thing. It's a real thing.
I like it. I like it, Mac. We know how good Clemson's been at home. Just excited to see that. I want to get this in right now, Mac. Our underdog fantasy picks for the week. Use our code GMPOD to get a special offer for up to $1,000 of bonus cash. Go sign up now, code GMPOD. And I chose from 3 different games this week, Mac, but I had a pick from Clemson, App State. I really like Antonio Williams higher than 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Basically, Antonio Williams is going to
Please.
Of any of the skill players for Clemson, maybe besides, and you could get Maffa in there too. But Maffa going over the 0.5 touchdown was like no payoff at all.
Right.
I really like Antonio Williams to score. I like that one, Matt.
I do too. Seems like common sense.
Thank you.
I think you try to get that one in there. I'm in New York right now. It will not let me play college football stuff, so I have to wait till I get back to the South. I did get in some Friday night stuff, and I tell you what, the RJ Maryland, I think it was over 40 receiving yards or higher than. Blast that. I mean,
love that. Love that.
Go to. He's the guy. We'll have more picks for you. Just check it out on social media. We're going to ramp it up. And get those going. But again, KG, you've said it time and time again. It's the easiest app to do it, to play fantasy.
So fun. Yeah.
You have so many options. It's so much fun. And guess what? The more you feel confident about, the more you stack up there, the bigger the multiplier is. Now, KG will tell you, I'm no good at that, but it is fun. And there's some really cool stuff in there.
I do if you get 2 out of 3 right, you get some money. And so I did get 2 out of 3 right for the Florida State Boston College. And then this one, I feel really good. So let's transition.
You're leading the clubhouse.
Hey, I'm doing what I can. Let's transition to our next game by using one of my picks. I really like Anthony Calandria higher than 243.5 passing yards against Wake Forest. So let's talk about Virginia at Wake. Wake Forest is a 1-point favorite. Interesting, I guess, at home. Saturday, 7 Eastern on ESPN2. I think this game could be one that could tell us a lot about both teams. Perhaps this is a game, if you win this one, we can't tell this now, but you're more likely to perhaps get to a bowl. Like, I think that this game could be very important in that regard. And I just find Virginia to be fun. I really do. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Calandria is really fun to watch. And this stat from intern Nick, Malachi Fields had 100 receiving yards in the win over Richmond. Clemson fans would kill for this, and it hurts because Tony Elliott is the head coach at Virginia. The 8th straight game, a Wahoo's receiver has gone for 100+ yards.
Yeah.
Dang. That's interesting, Mac. What do you think about this game?
Well, Washington is in the league, but that dude was a freak.
It was basically all Washington last year.
Yeah, it was fun to watch last year. I think you spelled it out perfectly. This is a very sneaky game in the fact of your destiny low-key being, controlled right now. Winner, much more favorable. You're going to a bowl game. Loser, it's going to be tough. And, I think both have landed on their quarterback with Calandria on the Virginia side. And then you look at Bachmeier over at Wake Forest. I mean, two dudes that are explosive, really fun to watch in the passing game. Is Wake Forest kind of back, to their high-octane offense where they're scoring a bunch of points, going to a bowl game every year like it's nothing. Quarterback play was so, just hindering last year. It just killed them. And then some bad injuries and couldn't get the offensive line right, things of that nature. I love what I saw from them. I understand the opponent, but I love what I saw from them. I think this is going to be a fun game. What's the over-under? Is it in the 60s maybe? 55. I think over that.
56.5 is what I see in real time.
I think it's going to be higher.
I like over there too.
I think both these offenses just really roll. And again, winner's probably going to the postseason. Loser's got a really tough way ahead of them.
Mac, I believe in the Who's. We'll see about Wake's home field advantage. Hopefully it's rocking there. And they can. They've had times, and it's a night game. I just think Calandria is poised to take that next step. He has all the talent in the world. It's just the decision making, right? And being on the road, that's been, think back to the Maryland game last year. We all remember that. He's got to make good decisions, but I am going to ride with Calandria until proven wrong. So I'm going to take Virginia, and because of the spread, you get Virginia +1. I like that. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I think for the sake of competition, and I do think it's so. I'll go Wake. I'll go Wake.
I like it.
I think their receiving core is sick. I love their running group. I think they have the better offensive line. That might be what it comes down to. So I'm going to go Wake Forest.
And they have a 25-year-old quarterback, and Virginia has a 19-year-old quarterback. So if you play into that, then hey, go with the old guy.
So Calandria was like in 6th grade when Bachmeier started college.
Bachmeier could be Calandria's father. I think that's obvious here.
Close.
Mac's like, check your math on that. Okay, let's run through the rest of these games. Quick thought, because Mac has to go get out in New York City, go to his fancy event, do fancy things. Okay, so the other game on Friday night is Duke at Northwestern, 9 p.m., so I guess 8 p.m. Central in Chicago. FS1. Northwestern's a 2.5-point favorite. And Mac, they're playing on the soccer field, which has been turned into their stadium as they're doing renovations on Lake Michigan. What do you think about this one?
The Brain Bowl, always love it. This is like the bowl game that never stops. These two always play each other. I don't know why. Going to be an interesting game. I think the 2.5 is telling. Again, I kind of mentioned you guys, 3 is kind of the number when you're at home. That's kind of the deal there. So I think Duke figures it out. I need to see that run game really increase, but you're going on the road. Malik Murphy got settled in late. There was some great. There was some kind of ugly. I think he gets figured out. Jordan Moore gets it figured out. Duke wins and obviously covers. So I'm excited to see that. Then we flip over to Saturday, KG. Power 4 matchup, Pitt and Cincinnati. This game, the total is 62.5. We might take more. I think both these defenses stink. I think both these offenses are really good. And you've got, obviously, Satterfield, formerly at Louisville, a guy that loves offense. And you have a brand-new Pitt team that looked really explosive. Love what we saw from Eli at quarterback. Love what we saw from the running back for Pitt, who came from Western Carolina with their OC, Cade Bell there. So look out. That's going to be a high-flying event. I think I'm going to go Pittsburgh on this one too, and it's a 1.5. Cincinnati is kind of the number. I think I'm going Pitt.
I want to see Pitt's new offense against a Power 4 team.
Yes.
I think Pitt finds a way to sneak that one out. I actually think Northwestern wins up in
We're
Chicago.
splitting, baby. We're taking a lead or falling right now.
But I have to tell you, Mac, the total in Duke Northwestern is 37.5. Here's one thing.
Championships.
Don't judge me, anybody. I think Northwestern wins. I'm not watching that game. Okay, next thing. I'll watch the highlights so I can be informed, but I'm not watching that for fun. Okay, Louisville, Jacksonville State. This is the spread that I like the most of these other games. I think Louisville covers the 30. Louisville has looked good, Mac, and they obviously.
That is crazy. That's such
30. I mean, they beat Austin Peay by 1 million. This is another home game.
State team that won like 11 games last year.
I think Louisville covers. I think this offense looks really good. This is obviously a very motivated Cardinals team. I don't think they're going to approach this one lightly. I don't think that Jeff Brom has that kind of culture there. They're ranked. Louisville's going to handle their business. I think Louisville covers.
I hear you. And Jacksonville State doesn't have their stud defense coordinator anymore. He's in Oklahoma. So see you later.
Right.
Doing our thing. Zach Alley, big shout out there.
Friend of the show.
I like Louisville a lot. I think that they're in prime spot to take back the ACC. So excited to see that. I think you see a lot of points from Louisville. I'll jump on the bandwagon with you. I'll say they cover there.
Yeah,
this next game, though, little worried about. Cal at Auburn. Going to be hot. I've heard Jaden Ott is playing.
Probable, but yeah, hopefully playing.
Number is 13.5. Auburn's offense is so good. I'm taking the Auburn Tigers. I don't like it, hate it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're ready for that, Cal.
I agree. I just want to see Jaden Ott look good, look healthy. Obviously, Jaden Ott needs to be healthy for Cal to have a bowl-type season. Mac, Boston College is hosting Duquesne at 3:30 on ACC Network Extra. Can we just give a shout-out to the Boston College Eagles for putting on a show on Monday night? Bill O'Brien and Tuami reunited. Specifically, not just Castellanos. I thought the run game looked really good. Obviously, the defense was wreaking havoc. Yeah. We won't learn much of anything from Boston College Duquesne, but I did want to make sure we got a little time in and just some kudos to Boston College, because next week after Duquesne, they play at Missouri, a top 10 Missouri. That could be a fascinating matchup and really put BC on the map, but they should handle their business here.
It's going to be really fun. Cannot wait to see that game. This needs, just a casual 50 burger, just keep building that monster up in Boston and let Tommy do his thing. I want to see him run the ball a little bit more. I was a little disappointed.
Not too much in this game, though.
Anybody else could have ran it. Anybody, you and I could have ran it for 10 yards in that game, because that's how good the offensive line was doing.
I don't want to see Tommy run against Duquesne. I want to see Tommy play like one quarter and sit. That's what I want to see.
That's cool. I like that.
All right, we got to get through these. North Carolina, Charlotte, Connor Harrell era. You need to look good, look better, much better offensively versus Charlotte. I think there is some intrigue there because you want to see how Connor Harrell looks.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. Let's go to Virginia Tech Marshall. Somehow, Virginia Tech 20.5 favorites. I don't understand. I don't get that. Give me Marshall. Virginia Tech, it's kind of like you said for a couple of these teams, you got to prove it. You got to show it to me. I am befuddled when I think about Virginia Tech right now. So that's kind of where I am on the Hokies, and it's sad, and I don't like it.
You still think they win, though, right?
Yeah, they win, but not by 20.
All right.
Not by 21.
Let's hope so, Mac. Okay, let's just do these last two. Same kind of thing. Stanford, Cal Poly. Honestly, I don't have any thoughts. Just win the game. And then Miami, Florida A&M. Miami, this is very similar. I want to see Cam Ward play the first quarter or so, get him out. I don't really want to see him run it either, and just stay healthy in that game, Mac.
Give me the team stats for Miami. What do you want to see? Just give me top of the line. What is it?
No injuries. That's literally it. And a win. That's all.
I want 400 rushing yards. I would love to see.
Sure.
Would love to see
with
that.
The 3s and 4s. Yeah.
It's great. It's fine.
No injuries, Mac. No injuries.
Please.
That's all.
Massive weekend, guys, as always. Cannot wait just to see it, what we're going to learn. Some, I think we'll learn a lot. Some, we don't have that opportunity till next week, but we're here. We're sprinting. We're getting after it. Big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to our friends over at Ingles. Always making this happen for us. We appreciate them and appreciate you guys. We need your help. Go over to YouTube, subscribe, jump in the comments, let us know your picks. Let's just go through these things together.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Get over on Underdog Fantasy. Use our code GMPOD, as KG said, up to $1,000 in bonus cash, and share your picks with there too. There's so many things, so much fun that you can have all over the place over there, and we really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun to do that with you guys. So anyway, continuous need your help. OG's over on Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe there as well. We would greatly appreciate that. But until next time, we'll see y'all.